Hello, fellow Rotarians in District 5010. This is your most excellent District Grants Subcommittee Chair, and this is the 2024 update on certain aspects of district grants in our district. I'm recording this a few days before the President-elect Training Seminar, or PETS, that's going to take place in Seattle in the middle of February 2024. What I intend this video to do to be a refresher course on certain aspects, mainly on how to deal with the grant website that we use to store our documentation. So let me share a screen. There it is. And the goals here are to basically get information to you about 4 different things. One, how to qualify for the district grant, how to navigate on the website to your particular bit of information about your grant, how to apply for a grant, and how to close it out. Some of this information will be given at PETS, but there's a lot of information that comes in at PETS, and some of this technical stuff might be something you'd like a refresher on. So I've got the slide numbers there where these different subjects are dealt with to try to speed things up for you. So just generally speaking, here's some acronyms and nicknames that are used. It seems in Rotary we have many of those, and that might be helpful. Very quickly, why should your club apply for district grants? Well, first off, the Rotary Foundation sends money to the districts every year for district grants. So why not use that money? The source of that money is contributions that clubs and other sources made to the Rotary Foundation during a Rotary year of 2 or 3 years past. So it's there. Why not use it? These grants can make an impact in your community. It can improve the quality of life and the health, safety of people in your community. They can leverage your club funds, which might be of particular interest for smaller clubs. That's another way of saying if you can come up with $1,000 to do something, a district grant can come in and match that amount. As I'll mention again, in our district, you have to match the amount of district designated funds that you ask for. Final reason to do this would be to promote our organization in your community, to promote it as an organization that does good work in our community. And particularly, you can do that by attaching a Rotary emblem or sign to the finished product. If it's something like a bench or you contribute to a dog park or some pavilion at a park, something like that that has the public visibility. The deadline every year to file a district grant is April 20th. And so this year it's April 20th, 2024. That's about the only hard deadline we have on the grants committee. And I'll probably mention this once or twice again, because you don't have to do the qualification part before you apply for the grant, but you got to apply for the grant by that time frame. The Rotary Foundation requires that we have a storage place for the documentation, and that's why we have been using this www.matchinggrants.org for many years. It may be that we're going to switch to another type of website that basically accomplishes the same thing, but this is the website we're using this year. Again, for every dollar of DDF that you ask for, you need to match it at least 1-to-1. So again, if you wanted $5,000 to do a project, you could ask for $2,500 in DDF, and then your club would have to match that out of its own funds for the other $2,500. Next slide. District grants are one-year grants, although when you take into account the planning for them, they actually can be more than 1 year. Planning might start now when you, as a president-elect or some other member of the club, starts putting together the plan of what you want, what district grant you want to do. So that would be now early in 2024. The deadline to close out the grant will be May of next year, 2025. So although it says it's a one-year grant, it actually can be more than that when you take into account the steps you take prior to the time starting. There are basically 2 steps to qualify for your grant. If you are a president-elect at PETS and you come to the grants management seminar that I'm going to put on Friday morning, then you'll qualify. There's also a memorandum of understanding that needs to be signed online, if possible. The memorandum of understanding is basically your club's commitment to maintain proper financial accounting and good stewardship of your funds generally, and of the funds that you'll get from the Rotary Foundation. The sorts of grants that you do should be sustainable, such as, say, a memorial bench, which will last and be enjoyed by people for a long time. And they should fulfill a lasting need in your community. So, last slide of an overview. District grants can fund scholarships to seniors in high school. It can help finance vocational training teams, which would be a group from another country coming to explore and hear about a certain topic in our country. And then we would do the same, say a group of scientists or a group of environmentalists or what have you can visit between countries. Money can be used to improve parks, distribute dictionaries, distribute reflective stickers to children, excuse me, distribute backpacks to foster children. That was the Rotary Cares for Kids. That has been ongoing actually as a district level activity. I think the point is that you really are limited only by your imagination. You can get ideas from your club foundation chair, if you have one, other club members who have participated in grants that your club has had. And you can go to this grants website we're going to talk about. It's about 10 years worth of grants, maybe 20, 25, 30 a year. So there's a lot of ideas that Rotarians have put into actual results of all sorts. Next slide, please. So I think I've mentioned that for many years we've used Club Runner, and there is a movement to what's called DAC-DB, capital D, capital A, capital C, small d, small b. As you probably know, the District 5010 has its own district website. Most clubs have their own website for their club, but the district has its own website, and it is moving to the DAC-DB platform. This slide shows that the address is www.district5010.org. When you enter that, you get this screen. Actually, every few seconds, that picture rotates, but the ribbon above the top does not. So when you take your mouse and you hover it over that, you get a drop-down menu. And so you do it hover your mouse over district, go down to grants and click on that. And that's going to bring up a page. It says grants at the top. And part of the way down the page is what's called grant information. And you'll see there's all the information you'd ever want to know about district grants and also global grants. We're not talking about global grants, which have been referred to as truly a different animal from district grants. But in the Rotary literature and training, there's some overlap there. So there's information about both, but it's really that first section there that's going to be of interest to us. That's where the information that you're going to need to do everything is going to be located. Next slide, please. So this is screen number 10. First qualification. We've basically gone through that. If you're going to be at the PETS event this weekend and you attend the grants seminar, the GMS, Grants Management Seminar, you'll qualify. You can also, if you go back to that grant information page, we'll do that right now, you'll see here that there's a grant management seminar part 1 and part 2. So that's a bit outdated, but I think it's a good seminar put on by past District Governor Brad Gamble. I think he really captures the essence of the why of district grants. Rotary International, of course, has its own website, and you can go into the Learning Center and find a grant management seminar there. That grant management seminar is very much about global grants, but according to the TRF rules, viewing that qualifies your club. After you've done one of these, you can email the grants committee, email me that you've done so, and then we can check off that you've in fact completed that qualification. Qualification number 2 is reviewing and then signing online, if possible, the memorandum of understanding. So let's go back to that grants information page, and the red arrow is now where it says, please sign the MOU online here. So if you click that, you get, you're on this www.matchinggrants.com.org website, club qualification summary. You want to be sure that you have the current year, which will be 2024, 2025. Now, at this point, in February 2024, process really hasn't started for district grants for next year. So you'll look and see nobody's qualified yet. Let me go to that back screen. You'll see there the green section are all the clubs that qualified last year. Now, the ones that didn't qualify, it means they didn't apply for a grant. I think we had about 25 clubs last year, 23, 24 Rotary year. About 25 clubs put in for a grant out of the 35 or 36 in our district. So let's just see what happens when we click on Anchorage East, which is my club. Let's see what that screen's going to look like. Here it is. At the bottom, you'll put in the name and email of the president for 2024, 2025, and the name of the president for the following year. You don't have that person named yet. Find an active member of your club who's willing to do that. On the right, you can see the option to upload a PFD format document, but we really do think this online electronic signature works, so please give that a try. After you fill that in, you click the send signature keys. The website will send an email to both of those folks. The email will have a link and a code. Click on the link. You go to the website, put in the code, and you've signed the MOU. The MOU, I think I've mentioned, is an important document to look at. It really does remind us how important it is that we're really good stewards of our money as a Rotary organization generally, and of the Rotary funds that we're getting from the Rotary Foundation. So, excuse me, you're now qualified. We're at screen 16, how to access your district grant subpage. The idea here is that you want to know where in this website is your information. Let's go back to that grant information page that has all kinds of stuff on it. And let's click on Grants website. And this is going to put us into this website, into the front page of it, which looks like this. You're going to choose district grants. And this is what you're going to look at. This is a listing of district grants from a number of different districts. We contract with this one gentleman who runs and operates this website, but other districts also contract with him. This particular screen can be sorted by the column headings there. So let's go to our next screen. And the red arrow is prompting us to click on district. When you do that, you'll see that District 5010, our district, comes up first. Ours is the lowest number of all of them. So after you've got that sorted, and you see our grants, let's click on one of them. I just randomly said Beans Cafe Pantry Packs. And that's what you're going to see. Now, this obviously isn't your project, but after we go through the steps to show you how you enter your project, you'll get one of these too. You'll see you have 5 tabs there. That first one is the description, pretty obviously, of your project. The financing spells out how much DDF you're getting, what your club contribution is. Documents tab and Photos tab allow you to upload your final report at the end, your receipts, for proof of payment, photos that you've made during the project, and the history logs allow you to put in significant updates on your progress. You'll see an administration button there in the upper right. Clicking that gives you, takes you to a tab that's behind each of those. And generally speaking, the tab behind the description, financing, and so forth allow you to do certain things. For instance, the tab behind documents allows you to actually go through the steps to upload a document. The same with photos. So there you are. So let's look at how to apply for your district grant. We are at screen 23. If you're jumping to this for information on just this subject. Back to the grants information page. And we're going to go back into that grants website front page. But this time, we're going to go to the top page, top of that page, where it says Submit Project. We'll click on that, and then there's a screen that comes up with some important things to read. And then you click Submit a New Project, where the red arrow is directing us. So when you do that, you come to this blank screen, which is where you fill out your description and some other information. It's pretty straightforward. You have to put in the name of the project, what you're going to call it. You find an area of focus, which is a very broad concept for district grants. You choose an activity type, and then there's a description. You put in the contact person. The project budget is, you put in how much is your club contribution going to be, how much is the district designated funds you are asking for, and then the payment information is where you want the district designated funds to be sent. And that should be your club address, not the name of any particular person. It should end up in your club account. So at that point, you will be, let's see, we have another screen where I filled out some information to give you sort of an idea of what it might look like. The red arrow prompts you then, after you put it in, you click Save. You don't have to be perfect. The district committee will look at it, but you got to get it in when? April 20th. So after you clicked Save, here is your own district grant with the P- number, and you are in. This screen enlarges the previous screen to, I guess for me, a little adult font size. And there you are, you have filed a district grant. Once again, setting out when is the deadline. Okay, so we're now at screen number 32, which is the next big step, which is closing out the district grant. The district funds, district designated funds should be in your club's bank account in July or August. May 31st of next year, 2025, is the deadline to put in your final report and your receipts. It's not a hard deadline, but it's something that most clubs will get their things in. There can be environmental issues, there can be supply chain issues. Things can come up which delay it somewhat. But keep in mind that if you submit, let's say you submit a project for this year, 2024, 2025, you have an open grant for this year, you got to close that out before you can get your funds for next year. So May 31st should at least be the time you can put in a draft of your district grant, final report, and put your receipts in. And if there's going to be a delay, let us know on the district committee, and we try to be flexible and work with clubs. So how do you go close this grant? Well, you go back to your project page. What we've got here is just one of the other ones, but let's assume that this is your project page that you've gone back to. You're going to go to that administration button to get to the screen behind the description tab. And you'll see there's different information in there. We're going to enlarge that screen, and you'll see that one of the things there, it says in blue, is a final report, which is what you need to fill out. So you click on that, and you come up with the final report. These are pretty softball questions to answer. In order to fit it all here, I had to do 2 screenshots. So this is the bottom half of it. Again, this is the top. It's like the first 6 questions. Okay, so the first screen was really the questions, and the second screen here is the financial piece. You'll see it's usually pre-filled out. They've already put in what DDF is and your club contribution. And so it's really paragraph 8 where you want to put in what the budget item was, where did you get it from, and how much did you pay. In my experience, most of these district grants, which are smaller, don't have a lot of expenditures. And so I put each one on a separate line. The first one might say, let's say it's lumber. Second column would be bought it at Home Depot. And the third column would be how much was paid for it. Again, in your documents tab, you'll upload the receipt from Home Depot that shows that it was actually paid. Most of them I've seen show the credit card, some of the credit card information there. So here's another reminder to be sure to upload the bank canceled checks and invoices marked paid and receipts and so forth. Often clubs don't do that, or they'll put in the check they wrote or a receipt or invoice that doesn't show that it was paid. In order for us to be sure that we keep a good rating as a organization, financial integrity and so forth, we really need to, even on this basic level, to provide this sort of level of proof, because occasionally some of these are audited, and an auditor is simply going to require that there's proof that the check was canceled, that the invoice was actually marked paid by the vendor, and so forth. So let me go back one to this is the bottom of the final report. You have a choice where you can save this in draft, save the final report in draft. If, let's say, May 31st has come and you haven't quite finished things up, we ask that you put in what you've got so we can take a look at it. Or if there are other people that we're going to have to review it, you can save it in draft and then come back later. There's also the option there to save and send for signatures, which means you've completed it. And now you're doing basically the same procedure you did with that memorandum of understanding. Email will get sent, the link, the code. Click on the link, enter the code, and you signed it. And there are 2 people who sign the grant, and those people will also sign the final report. So there you have it. The 4 major things that you're going to be involved in with a district grant. So final words. Of course, we're a volunteer organization. I'm a volunteer. You're probably a volunteer. The grant subcommittee tries to be very flexible to accommodate what clubs want. Our job is mainly to deal with the financing of the project and also to make sure that the final report gets in with the receipts. And there are other things that can come up. Any difficulties should be addressed to us because we're there to help you complete this. We particularly appreciate you promptly closing the project by May 31st, or if you have completed it earlier than that, to within 60 days of that time to put in your final report and receipts. That, among other things, avoids somewhat of a log jam for us at the end of this May period when things are due. Things that clubs don't often do much are to put in history log entries of significant matters. We encourage you to go to that tab and enter significant things. Those comments will come to the committee and we can keep an eye on what you're doing and be able to oversee things a little bit better. And finally, something clubs don't do enough of, I think, is to put in photos from the project in documents that might be interesting. These are documents apart from the final report and receipts. The advantage there is that people in the future going to look at your grant will have a better and more full picture of what you're doing. So if they think your grant was just great and they'd like to do it again or do it their own way, the more you've documented what you've done, the more they're going to have to work with. So that is the end of this quick start. Thank you. And on behalf of the committee, we look forward to your district grant being filed. When is that? April 20th, 2024. So good luck. Thanks again.